Welcome to the Bo Jackson Elite Commitment Spotlight. We're here with Nick Falter, right-handed pitcher out of Olentangy Liberty High School, committed to Denison University. Excited to get into some good details with Nick. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing even better seeing your backdrop here and got a nice den set up. Christmas. I assumed you decorated the tree yourself and
Oh no, that was all my mom, all my brother. No,
uh,
I wasn't here for that.
that's good stuff, man. Well, we're definitely excited to jump into a lot of things with your recruiting. Olentangy Liberty High School, great high school program. Would love to hear kind of your development process as a pitcher. Get into Coach Deegan and touch a lot of things here. But let's start. Go back to your early days. What was life like growing up? What's your family like? Family situation like? Do you come from a athletic background, or just give us an idea where all started?
Uh, my dad played baseball in high school. He went to Thomas Worthington. He was baseball player there. Right when that new school uh, developed, and he was a starter as a senior. And he wasn't a great player. He didn't like playing that much, but like that's how I got my baseball background from him.
Nice. And do you have any siblings?
I have an older brother who isn't really into sports, but he's a
Yeah.
great brother.
So how did you play a lot of sports growing up, or was baseball kind of the only one from the get-go? What was that like?
I played almost exclusively baseball growing up. I was a really good golfer. I played junior golf. Uh, Probably before I played baseball. Actually, I was a golfer at 4. Tried out all the way through high school, but I didn't make it. But I was cool with that because baseball was always
Yeah,
plan A.
always the focus for you then. And definitely have some follow-up questions on that. But, describe, did you play travel baseball growing up, or, what was the evolution like from a, caliber of play standpoint since it was your only sport?
I didn't play baseball. I didn't play travel baseball until 10U. I was Little League coach pitch, and then I played Little League up until I was 9. And then at 10U, I went to Ohio Elite, which is a well-known organization. I played locally with Olentangy Thunder until I was 14. And then ever since I was 15, I've been with the Bo Jackson Elite administration
Yeah,
or program.
yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Talk a little bit about, how over the years, I mean, that's a lot of baseball. It's pretty intense. You didn't have a second or third sport to kind of lean on in the off seasons. How have you maintained not burning out, from a motivation standpoint, from an enjoyment standpoint? What's that been like as you've gotten older? How have you kept the fire going?
I just love the game. I love playing it. Like, there's not really a sport like baseball. Like, you can't run out the clock. You have to outplay your opponent. And I guess that's why I love it so much.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. That's good stuff. Now, I know, you're heading to Denison as a pitcher only. Describe a little bit, when did the love for pitching develop for you? Did you have that from a young age, or did that kind of come on late? Talk a little bit pitcher only life. What's that been like?
Well, my parents knew I was going to be a good pitcher when I was 2. And I was playing with the Thomas train set, and I picked up the train. I got mad at my brother, and I drilled him square in the head, right between the eyes. So ever since that moment, my parents knew I was going to be a great pitcher. Very accurate. Ever since I was started t-ball, I was just bigger than everyone else. I had a better arm than anyone else. I played third base and first base because I was the biggest guy. I was a big target, and I had the best arm. So pitching was always there for me as I got older.
Now, a lot of guys, as they transition from, being a position player and balancing pitching, and they get into that full-time pitching training kind of lifestyle, a lot of guys find it boring. Do you find pitching development boring? How have you made that switch in your head over the years from, I play everything to I'm really locked and loaded on kind of one thing? What's that been like?
I think it's been easier for me to transition to a PO as it is for other people because I felt like I was a PO two years before I really was a PO. Like I wasn't getting super consistent at bats because coaches were always trying to protect me from injury because I was the best arm and I wasn't the best hitter on my team anyway. So I was completely fine with phasing out of hitting and focusing on pitching, which I enjoyed a lot more and I thought I was a lot better at.
Yeah, so I've seen that evolution before, and it seems like it was kind of you kind of could see the writing on the wall, and at the same time, we're comfortable with it, it sounds like, and ready to go into full pitching mode. So that's awesome. Now, you mentioned, from 15U all the way up, that's your entire high school career. You'll be playing 18U Bo Jackson League this summer. You've been with BJE, Cangelosi Black Sox, all through that time period. Talk just kind of about the Dome and you would have been here right when the place opened. So, how much has the facility, we'll get into your summer team. I know you guys are in there all the time, but how much is the facility and the training and just the structure, how much has that helped you develop as a pitcher in your high school career here?
Yeah, the Dome's fantastic. I remember the first time I went in there, I was practicing with my 14U team, and I was like, wow, this place is amazing. Imagine having all of our practices there. And now that I'm part of the organization, I practice there 15 times a year in off season and whenever I want to after that. So it's been a dream come true, really. You have all the coaches to your arsenal. You have the best equipment, and you just need to take full advantage of that.
So cool. And on that tone of taking full advantage, like I said, your summer team, a tight-knit group of guys, a lot of guys have been committing here in the last few months, and it's been cool to watch just that process with the team coached by Mitch Wygand. And you guys are in there often inside your practice times and outside your practice times. It seems like it's very common to see a group of 3 to 5 guys on a daily basis from that squad. How would you say, that process has been? I got a chance to see you guys play last summer and man, just a really tight-knit group. What was that experience like playing, with that group and for Coach Wygand last year and heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super special group. I don't know why our team chemistry is as good as it is, honestly. It's just I'm so fortunate to be a part of this group. We all get along extremely well, and I think that just carries over into our performance on the field.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be pretty cool in the next few years. There's a lot of guys committing to OAC or NCAC schools here in Ohio, and no doubt you guys are going to be locking horns in the next 4 or 5 years. It's going to be fun to follow, and we'll get into that a little bit. But before we get into your recruiting in Denison and whatnot, I'd love to talk to you about Olentangy Liberty High School. You're at Olentangy Liberty, one of the best programs in Central Ohio, and certainly one of the best in the state. A great coaching staff and a consistent winner from a high school baseball program standpoint. What's that experience been like, and how much has that been beneficial for your development as well?
Well, one of the things Coach Brennan tells us at the beginning of every year is you're going to be a part of something special, and it's been nothing but that. Like my freshman year, the seniors won the state championship. My sophomore year, our seniors were great. They made it to like the regional finals or something like that, like the round of 32. With COVID, obviously, no season. But all 3 of those years have been extremely special. All 3 of them have had great senior classes, and it's just been awesome to be a part of. And I haven't even played a varsity pitch for Liberty yet.
Crazy to think, the effects of COVID and whatnot on that for sure. How, you've got a great setup, but a very unique setup in that you're at one of the, premier travel organizations in the state and the Midwest even, and then you're also at one of the best high school programs in the state. And so every, workout you're a part of for both those organizations and programs, you're around elite people and you're in an elite environment. How much do you think that's going to help you as you head into college?
I think it's just going to make the transition easier. All the coaches at Bo Jackson and at Liberty, I think they're going to prepare us better than other coaches will at other high schools and with other organizations for that next level. And yeah, it's like I don't think I could be with a better combination than Bo Jackson and Liberty.
Yeah, and you said something in one of your other answers that it's just kind of hitting me now. So you have not played a varsity pitch in high school, have you?
I
So
played I played freshman ball my freshman year. I was 7-0 as a pitcher on JV, and then last year we didn't play.
watch it go in. It's crazy to think, but I think it just reveals, the combination of a great high school program and a great travel organization. You haven't even played, an inning of varsity play. Probably would have happened last year with COVID, but you're a college commit and a mid 80s righty, and you haven't touched the varsity field, and I think that's an incredible dynamic right there to be in the position you're in as a recruit and to have the opportunities you have to go play college baseball at a great program. And, it just shows, the backfield development that you've had at two different spots has really helped you to propel to this level, which is awesome. So I'd love to hear kind of talk a little about your recruiting timeline. COVID hits, your spring season just gets eliminated, and here we are, and you head into a pretty critical summer season. Heading into your senior year, that summer is pretty important. And how was it navigating, the recruiting dynamics with that kind of going on in May, June, July? What was that kind of like for you internally?
Well, I've always wanted to go to a very competitive academic school, and I've always wanted to play baseball at the highest level that I could. So I wasn't really looking D2 as much because I didn't think the academics at D2 were super strong, and I wasn't really looking D1 because I didn't throw hard enough. So D3 was the best place that I was looking for colleges, and I wanted to stay close to home because family's super important to me. And Denison just felt like the best place for that after they started recruiting me. And after they started recruiting me, I made that decision about 3 months later.
It's awesome. Yeah. Get into a little bit, what do you want to study at Denison? And obviously Denison's a phenomenal academic institution, one of the best in the country. So what do you want to study there?
Financial economics is probably going to be my major.
That's awesome. Yeah. And why, where did that kind of desire start? I think a lot of people, they don't necessarily view it that way. The academics is the most important thing for their recruiting process. And a lot of people flip that and make baseball the driver, and they're going to just go to a program or in a particular level. If the academics fit, great. If they don't, great. It's cool to hear kind of someone who's had that inverted a little bit. And when did that start? When did academics become like, this is going to be the driving force for me, and I'm going to make baseball fit into that? What was that?
I've always been a good student, or at least I like to think that I've always been a good student. If baseball never worked out, then I've always wanted to have a good academic school to fall back on. And I know that it's pretty unlikely that I'm not going to go pro for baseball. So I want to go and learn how to be a great worker and employee and father down the road. And Denison was the best place for that.
Yeah, let that perfectly segues. Denison is a special program. Coach Deegan, which we'll get into in a minute, came to there and kind of resurrected it and has built it into a national contender and certainly one of the best programs in the region. And a lot of that has been the on-field success through recruiting and player development and things. But, anyone who's spent any time around him or Denison as a program knows that the culture is at a very, very high capacity. Everything you're describing in terms of becoming a great employee and Denison's a program where those types of things are going to be instilled to the max. So as you begin, to talk to Denison and when did you kind of realize, okay, there's something special here at the program? How deep in the process were you?
Well, I was getting recruited before Denison reached out by a couple of schools, and my, my friend, you've probably heard of him. His name's Matt McClements. Uh,
Yep. Yeah.
I was talking to him the week before he committed to Denison, and he was like, "Dude, I want to go south, like Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia." And then next week, he's like, "I would like to announce that I just committed to Denison." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then next day, the coach that he was recruited by, Coach Rome,
Mm-hmm.
the pitching coach, reached out to me and said, "Hey, your buddy just committed. Do you want to come out for a visit?" And I was like, "Absolutely," because I want to see why Matt changed his mind like that. Like that was what really surprised me. And then I went out 2 or 3 weeks later, and the campus was awesome. They gave me a roster spot for 2021, and like I didn't. That was the first offer I got, and they just didn't get better than that.
That's awesome. Yeah. What was it like seeing the campus? You know, NCAA Division III program, but from a facility standpoint, it's incredible. And so when you went there, you're thinking small college and all that kind of stuff, Division III. Were you surprised at how impressive the facilities were, or was it, what was that like?
Yeah, it was like a D1 facilities in school for D3 baseball players, and you can't beat that. You just can't.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking one of the best academic institutions in the country, and then facilities like that, and then elite culture, and Coach Rome is a well versed, experienced pitching coach at multiple levels, and that's awesome. And let's shift gears a little bit to Coach Deegan. What was your first impression when you met him, and had you heard a lot about him in your circles, prior to meeting him, and what was your first impression after meeting
Uh, he was super professional. He was a great guy. After talking to him for about an hour when I was there for the visit, hour and a half, and he was just a great guy. All of his team values are super close, if not exactly like Liberty's. Uh, so I thought Denison was just a 4-year extension of Olentangy Liberty.
him? Yeah, it's a great way to put it for sure. He's certainly one of the best leaders in college athletics, and a thought leader in leadership and culture, and I think you're gonna absolutely love that experience playing there. And so let's talk a little bit. I mentioned the NCAC and the OAC. Ohio baseball, from a Division III standpoint, might be the best state in the country in terms of NCAA Division III programs, and the perspective of small college baseball, and what would that you were a high academic guy, so you were looking in that direction, but there's a lot of philosophies in recruiting these days that are very Division I driven, or very get to the highest level you can get. Now your abilities could easily slot you at higher levels than where you decided to go, and so speak a little bit to that Division I or bust type of mentality, and how you've gone against the grain, and just your overall view of Division III baseball.
Uh, I think the D1 or bust mindset is BS. I think it's stupid. Honestly, there's 6% of all high school players end up playing college baseball, and if you go D1, D2, D3, JUCO, and you're a stud. Like, you're still a part of that top 6%, and you deserve to be playing for another 4 years. And it doesn't matter if it's D1 or D2 or D3. If you love baseball that much, it doesn't matter what division you play
That's awesome. And so talk a little bit, let's, obviously we hope this doesn't happen, but let's say you suffered a career-ending injury in your first year. Do you feel like you would stay at Denison as a student?
at. I thought about that too. I actually think I would, just
Mhm.
just because of how great the school is. I think that major suits me perfectly, and I'd still be close with the guys on the team, and I don't think I would leave actually.
So yeah, again, we obviously hope that doesn't happen, and I don't think it will. But talk a little bit about that process of finding the best fit, because what you described, and it sounds like it was part of your thought process of as you were evaluating and choosing schools. How important was it to find the best fit academically, socially, distance from home? In terms of programs, as you were sorting through all this, what was that process like for you?
I thought it was great. It's 40 minutes away from my house. It's close enough for me to be dependent on my parents when I need to be, and it's far enough for me to be independent when I want to be. And I'm 15 minutes away from my grandparents who are out on Buckeye Lake, and if I ever need a home cooked meal or just need to say hi to them, I can go and do that.
Man, so it sounds like you have the best case scenario. You've got a great academic situation. You've got distance from home, which was important to you. A highly competitive program. You're going to compete for national titles and regional titles instantly when you get there. A great coaching staff and culture and program, and so it sounds like you've navigated the recruiting process about as good as anyone I've talked to in this process of checking all these boxes. If you could give advice to someone who's beginning this journey, even later tonight, I'm talking to some of our younger guys at the Bo Jackson Elite organization who are kind of just starting this process. And if you could talk to them and give advice to younger players starting this journey, what advice would you give?
How much time do you have?
We got time, man. We got nothing but time.
I've had a ton of coaches that would rank offers in order from D1 to D2 to D3. If you value academics the way I do, then it might be like D1 and D3, and then D2 and NIA and JUCO towards the bottom, if that's the way you want to attack the recruiting process as a baseball player and as a student athlete. And in terms of development, I would say the kitchen is more valuable than the weight room. There are a ton of guys out there that are just skinny, but they're good ball players, but they just don't have the power or the strength to do good in this game or succeed. And you just gotta eat food. There are people like, oh, putting on weight's too hard. And I'm like, dude, you gotta put on weight. You look skinny. And I'm like, they're like, but I eat a lot, dude. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just gotta eat. Nutrition's a big thing. And if you wanna play in college, you gotta work on your craft. You gotta do the little things well. Everyone can hit a fastball in college. You gotta just master the little things.
That's so good, man. That's some great wisdom and some great perspective there for sure. And I think you're spot on in terms of the development and the physique side and making that a priority for sure. And that's awesome, man. So we're so pumped for you and excited to follow your college career. I know you got one more year at Liberty and hopefully a deep tournament run there ahead of you, but we're definitely pumped to see you off to college, and want to congratulate you on your process and wrapping that up. So awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, man, and we'll see you Sunday at the Dome for training.
See you Sunday morning, Coach. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Good deal.